Hi everyone, welcome back to the latest episode of Flat Out, and it is all things Guineas this weekend. The first classics of the season are coming up at Newmarket on Saturday and Sunday. And delighted to say once again, Tom Bull and Jack Nicol join myself, Anthony Dunkley, to preview the classics and just have a bit of a conversation and a few tips as well. Please remember to gamble responsibly, and please remember to dress responsibly, something that both of them didn't do for this episode. Tom, we'll start with you. How are things? How much are you looking forward to the Guineas?
Good, fresh off the back of a nice 10-day breakaway in the south of France.
Oh, nice for some.
Yeah, which recharged my batteries, refueled me, and I'm now raring and ready to go for the classics. Very much looking forward to it. We've had pretty much all sunshine here, as well as in France, so the ground's going to be quick, I think. And there's no rain in the air either, so it's all hotting up rather nicely.
Isn't it just? We've all been enjoying the weather. You can tell from Jack's complexion as well. How are you, Jack?
Yeah, I'm pale, not white this week. Yeah, it's lovely. No, look, it's going to be quicker ground, isn't it? So that'll be interesting for whatever you're backing this week. Really looking forward to it. Just looking over at Bully here, it's good to see that you won the Hugh Jackman lookalike competition.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this is all style, but I just couldn't be bothered to shave. And because it does grow very quickly, this is about 2 weeks growth now, with a bit of a trim in between as well. But I think the general consensus is that if I'm going to be
we should
presenting, I'm going to have to get rid of it.
We should let the viewers decide. Does the beard stay or does the beard
Not
go?
sure that's a good idea, Jack, to be honest.
No, let them decide.
I like it. I reckon
I
a poll on whether Tom Bull should keep his beard. And every time I look at it, it makes me wonder why exactly I can't grow such a beard.
A couple of hairs there, mate. You're not doing too bad.
Just a couple. Just a couple. Moving back for the action at Newmarket on the weekend, does the Guineas get the juices flowing for you?
Yeah.
It does me.
Generally, yeah, it does. It absolutely does. And even though we got a shorter price favourite than usual, I would say, in Field of Gold this year, I still think it was quite open. It's quite a strong race, I think. I do love this time of year. I love, now that we've had the classic trials, they're over and done with. We've got this and then the Derby trials coming up. It really does kind of get you going. And then Royal Ascot not too far away either. I think, we all on this Flat podcast are huge fans of racing on the level. So it doesn't really get better than this because you've got so much to enjoy coming up very soon.
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting for this all winter, haven't we? These particular races. These are the ones that, while people are checking out anti-post markets for the King George, you also, if you're a flat fan, you have a sneaky look and just keep it in there. Just remind yourself of who exactly was prominent when we left off in the back end of October.
That's exactly it. Like how we spoke about in the last episode about the slips I had. We'll get on to more of that in the 2000 preview. So just coming to what Tom says, like the juices do get flowing. It is sort of this period, isn't it? Like April's always a month kind of trepidation. Horses fit from the all-weather, having their first run, obviously needing. So you're getting horses now that have had their reappearance run, and sort of this meeting, Chester and York, for me is like, obviously we're talking Tuesday afternoon, aren't we? Punchestown going on. That'll be out the way then, come the weekend, and then it's all flat from there.
Not technically true, it's the last day
of
Saturday.
Last day of Punchy on the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I mean. From there, we're all go on the flat.
Exactly.
So.
Just double checking. We're just checking keeping abreast of these things.
Just wanted to say, do you know what really grinds my gears?
Please.
Gets my goat. Is at the end of the Cheltenham Festival, at the end of the Grand National, you have all these bookmakers and people coming out and saying, this is the favourite for next year's Champion Hurdle. This is the favourite for next year's Gold Cup. This is who's really fancied for the Grand National in 2026. We have the entirety of the flat season first. Let's concentrate on that.
Here. Absolutely. I completely agree. Weird outburst, but I really enjoyed it at the same time as a flat fan. Right, let's get into the 2000 Guineas. 3:35 Newmarket on Saturday. Field of Gold has only strengthened as a favourite now with the news that came through this morning that Twain unfortunately scoped dirty and will not be giving Aidan O'Brien a crack at winning the Classic for the first time since 2019. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's the obvious place to start. It's a bit of a shake-up. Naturally, Field of Gold shortened up a bit, and then it now means expanded runs. We've had a bit of a shake-up with rumours this week that probably Buick will ride Rule in Court over Shadow of Light. I always want to say Symbol of Light. It's Shadow of Light, isn't it? But yeah, no, that's a shame because it did look like... Well, it's great for me because having back expanded, looks like he's going to be their number one now. But it did seem like that this was their main hope. So it's a shame he's going to be out because he did add an extra dimension to the race. But it shakes things up, and it's definitely going to add a new dynamic to the race.
What do you feel about the fact that the favourite Field of Gold has only hardened in the betting as a consequence of it? Personally, I'm licking my lips to take him on.
I was just about to say, I think that's great because he creates the market for the ones in behind, and I'm really strong on the two in behind. As I say, Rule Court and Expanded. I think, yeah, really strong on him. And I've got to take on. I just think he offers really poor value now at 7-4. Yeah, I think he was 3-1 in the immediate aftermath of the Craven. I think we'll probably get into the nitty gritty of the race soon. But yeah, I just think he's short enough now.
I'd say so. Tom, would you be in agreement? 7-4, does that stir the juices?
No, it doesn't. I think he's probably a little bit too short, given the level of opposition that we got up against him. That said, I didn't think he was really impressive in the Craven. I thought the race sort of fell apart a bit. He did pick up the pieces late on, but the manner in which he won, it was so easy. He's now proved himself on the Rowley Mile, over the trip, at the track, and he looks very solid to me. And I love the fact that all through last year, I remember when he won at Sandown in the Solario, they were saying, yeah, he's a good 2-year-old. We know this, he's a good 2-year-old, but next year he's going to be a proper 3-year-old. And that, it does look as though he's strengthened up and he has turned into a bit of a machine this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do for the rest of the season. Whether or not it's going to be a Guineas one, I don't know. But I think he is going to be a force to be reckoned with in all the top mile races throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, I think he'll have a really good season. There's just something about Craven winners going for the 2,000 Guineas for me. And that's irrational. Of course it is, because one horse can completely dispel that. There is just something about the fact that a lot of good horses have won the Craven in recent years, have run well in the Guineas, but that's almost been the springboard to their season.
Yeah, I completely get that. I think you were saying earlier, was it half of the one of the last 20 years?
2004, half, yeah.
It's a long time between winners of the Craven going on.
It's never been Gosden's MO to target this, really, has it? They've always been a little bit behind, and come Royal Ascot's kind of when they kick on. I know Kingman probably should have won, but he's never, obviously, as we know, he's never won the Guineas. So, I mean, that I'd say the Craven trend's got a lot more weight than obviously Gosden never win the Guineas. He's such a great trainer. So, I think that's just got to be a concern. And at 7-4, with the ground drying out all week, we spoke just before coming on here. We both have concerns about the ground for him as well, which I think if you're looking at 7-4, 13 away, it's pretty skinny on that basis, because that would be a worry for me.
So who wins?
Out of the two, like, nothing's changed in terms of the two I mentioned last week, but I have to go with Expanded. He's been the one I've been warmest on all winter. I'm glad that he gets the chance to run now. I think he's got the course experience, and I just think he's the most talented horse in the race. I really think he could go at the very top this year. Whereas Rule Call, for me, I think this is going to be still a trial for the Derby.
Sorry, I was going to say, you worried about the mile? I'm about Expanded over the mile.
No. Am I worried?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No. I thought you said that.
You looked worried for a second.
No,
so
I didn't quite understand what you said. No, I don't have any worries. Interestingly enough, he was put in the Commonwealth Cup this morning. But when you've got money like Ballydoyle has, you put them in all the races, don't you?
Yeah, my concern, I think he's a very talented horse. He'd have to be to finish second in a Group 1 a week after making his debut. Just the way that horses from Ballydoyle are campaigned into a Guineas these days, they've had some high pressure and high underperforming horses in the last couple of years who both roared back to form later on in the campaign.
Sure.
I'm a little bit concerned of exactly what the 2,000 Guineas means to Ballydoyle. And I know that's a crazy thing to suggest. This is a classic, a stallion-making race.
Yeah.
But it's Expanded. I feel he was targeted at the race. Was he number one? Don't think so.
I think he was to a point, and then about a month ago we were all like, God, Twain's the number one, isn't he? And it was like, well, Expanded could still go, but we might go Irish Guineas, and obviously now that Twain... So I know that you could kind of see that in a negative light. It could be like, well, he is just the reserve string, but he was always... I think these two were always their two number ones, in terms of one of them's going to go somewhere, and then you've got the likes of Henry Matisse, Camille Pizarro, horses like that, who can go for the French, or probably, for example, Henry Matisse in my mind is going to be your one for Royal Ascot. That turning track it's going to be perfect for him. That's why, quick round, you would think if you have a horse as good as Henry Matisse, why would you not run him here? So I think that for me distills a lot of confidence that they have that Expanded's going to be good enough.
The dip would be my worry for Henry Matisse.
Sure. Like a real flat track would be perfect for him.
I think so. I think that's the only reason he's not in there personally. Where are you looking, Tom? Where exactly are you firing your darts?
I'm a little bit with you, actually, about Expanded, in the fact that the Lion in Winter was firstly in there all those months ago. He was fancied it for the race for ages. Then we had Twain the last few weeks come out and be, actually, he's the number one. Expanded almost number 3 in that list. That would be my slight concern, that he's not really been sort of the talking horse of Ballydor going into this race. But he's got to have a good chance, and I completely understand where Jack's coming from. He wouldn't be for me to win the race. He's not proven himself over a mile yet. Neither is my selection, Swarthy Champ. But I think it's going to improve in no end. I think he's a very tough performer. Obviously beat Henri Matisse when last seen at the Curragh back in September. That was over 7 furlongs. But I love the way he knuckled down under pressure, showed a lovely attitude. He'd previously been beaten by Henri Matisse over the same course and distance, but turned that form around. Looked as though he was really starting to get the hang of things in that race. He looked quite raw still. But when I watched that race at the time, I thought to myself, I really hope he goes to Newmarket next year, because I think the mile, either the Newmarket or Curragh, but he's going to come here. The mile is going to really help him. I think he wants the extra furlong. He finds plenty of pressure, and there's a lot of class in there. I'd be quite keen on him. He's a little bit short than I thought he would be, but we're around about 8-1 now. But I think he's got a very good chance.
Yeah, there's just something about him I can't quite warm to, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I think maybe I'm being ruled by... Do you remember when Thunder Moon won the National Stakes and then turned up for the Guineas, and suddenly, well, I mean, in his case, he hadn't trained on. He did train on to an extent, but he hadn't grown in physical stature. I think I'm going to need to see him in the paddock.
No, I think that's absolutely fair enough. At the same time, I would also say that I do think he's a different mould of horse, in the fact that Joseph did say last year that whatever he does as a 2-year-old, he's going to improve as a 3-year-old. So I don't necessarily think that was the same with Thunder Moon. I think he was an all-out 2-year-old at the time and was very precocious. Whereas I think the Swarthy Champ did appear to get better as the season progressed. That was his best performance, finishing off in September. And the vibes I got from Joseph were that he's going to be better as a 3-year-old. So hopefully they're different profiles.
Oh, please, yeah.
Well, would you worry about the trip for him?
Well, no, I think he's going to improve over a mile. I know pedigree-wise, Maymas, it may you look at that thinking, okay, he may not want a mile, but visually, what I've seen, and I tend to follow that more than pedigrees. I think it's, well, as far as I'm concerned, it's more pertinent. What you use your eyes rather than looking at paper. I think he wants the mile, and I think he'll improve for it.
Shadow of Light. Where do we stand with him? I'm dead set against him in a Guineas. When he turns up in a Commonwealth Cup, I'm all over him.
Okay.
What do you reckon?
The vibes that over the last 2 or 3 weeks haven't been great, have they? I know William rode him in the gallop there, I think maybe a week or 2 ago, but certainly this week it's been kind of the rumours floating about social media and that William Buick has kind of chosen Ruling Court, which doesn't bode well. He's not apparently working, but the fact is that just pedigree-wise, you would definitely worry. I think his performance in the Duos was really good, because he not only did he beat Expanded, and obviously it's such a shame that Ancient Truth wasn't going to run, because he's a proper yardstick as well. He would have had a great chance, but to do that with the track bias and beat 2 very good horses, but yeah, that extra furlong's going to be a worry, and the fact that it's kind of negative vibes on the exchanges now, Ruling Court is short, I would suggest that would kind of confirm that the inkling is that Buick's going to be the choice. So yeah, it's going to be the typical one, sort of mid-division of the Guineas is what I expect, and then go Commonwealth Cup.
I get why they're having a go. How can you not? A middle part winner and a duelist winner within a short space of time. But I just can't be with him. I can't nail my colours to the mast of Shadow of Light. I'm with the stablemate, actually, but where do you rank on naturally having a go in the race?
I'm actually with you on the 2 Godolphins there. I think if you, let's say you had a match race between the 2 of them, 7 furlong pole, they're alongside, you're with Ruling Court, aren't you? Because he's going to stay. And you don't necessarily know that about Shadow of Light. He's definitely not convincing over the mile at the moment anyway. So I'd be with Ruling Court of the 2. Interesting that you say you fancy him, Dunkers. I know that I think they're quite keen on him eventually over sort of a mile, quarter, a mile and a half. Could well be a derby horse in the making, but you think he's got enough speed for a Guineas?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think he showed that at 2. I remember I was lucky enough to be at Sandown for the channel on his debut, and he was just an absolute frame. They paid €2.4 million for him at the Breeze Ups, and we were in the paddock looking and thinking, okay, okay, like I'm gonna need to see it on the track, and he absolutely delivered. And then, of course,
I think if we can look at the replay, the sectionals from the 3 to the 2, I think were really good. I don't know them off the top of my head. I think it was sub 11 seconds. Don't quote me on that, because that's off the top of my head from 6 or 7 months ago.
on the debut.
On his debut, and I remember thinking, oh, he's going to have a great chance in the Acom here, and that was probably the best 2-year-old race on form as well.
Yeah.
The fact that he didn't see the game was a worry for me, because the slip I have was prior to the Acom, thinking, okay, this is going to be their Guineas horse. Like, the speed he showed at Sandown. And one thing we haven't spoke about as well that's going to be a real benefit to him is the fact he's wintered out in Maidan. He's already shown he's trained on it. It was such an impressive performance. I know you're probably thinking, okay, on the back of that we'll go Derby, but he come back, run him off the plane a bit like Morge did in the 1,000 Guineas. I know it was for Saeed, but it's a tried and tested route that does work.
This is wonderful. I don't even need to make my case for me. Jack Nicol is going to do it. Those are the reasons I like ruling court, to be honest. And I think 13-2 as it currently stands is a backable each way price if that's the way you want to play. And if you're going win only, I think he's well worth his place in that lineup. So to summarise, you've gone for expanded. So you've backed expanded.
I have positions on expanded and ruling court. Win only over the winter. I'm going to top up backing them both each way and take on. I don't honestly think there's any. I know people probably in the comments are going to say, "Oh, you're picking 2," but for me personally, if you fancy 2 horse in race, I don't see any problem with backing 2 as well.
Take 3, take 4.
Yeah, no, I'm really strong on both of them, but yeah, expanded probably just preference, but no, I really like both of them.
Score the champ for yourself.
Yeah, I think before we finish proceedings on the Guineas, I think it's worth noting that we could have a fairly small field this year compared to other years.
Yeah, true.
And it might just get that little bit tactical, which is possibly worth chatting about.
Sorry, it'd be good to mention the pace here, because we were just kind of discussing that just before, and kind of how the race is going to make up, and we kind of think that some of the outsiders, I think there's the bank of 6, the ones we've mentioned, plus Green Impact, and Score the Champ would be in that 6 we mentioned. But then there's a few outsides, Benevento, Seagulls 11, Green Impact as well, he'll be a pace angle. So I don't think it's going to be a tactical race and being slow. But smaller field could make it interesting, because obviously in the past we have split into groups, haven't we? I don't think that'll be the case this year, though. Yeah,
I mean, Field of Gold beat 8 rivals in the Craven. He could face 8, 9, something like that again. I do fear him, I have to say. I know he's short price, but I really am scared of him. Yeah, I'm going to go with Score the Champ. I think he'll improve over the mile, and I know that he's very highly regarded, so I'd be keen on him. And he's coming back off a 230-day break. I don't think that's going to be an issue at all, because for me, Joseph is up there, possibly the best trainer in the world, so I've no qualms about that.
Joseph also said, I read in a stable tour, that they've been counting down the days, which for someone who is not a particularly, well, he wouldn't throw out phrases just willy-nilly. Those are some quite big words. Score the Champ, who's Tom's selection in the 2,000 Guineas. Should we move on to the 1,000?
Yeah.
This seems like it's a traditional purists straight shootout at the top. And the racing fan of the early 2000s in me is fanboying over this event. Desert Flower versus Lake Victoria, with a Juddmonte representative in red letter just in behind, and fancy prices the rest of them. I like the makeup of this race. I'm absolutely with the favourite. Where are you going?
Well, like we just spoke there about possibly being a shallow race in the 2000. This is very much a shallow race, because there isn't much beyond the 3 you've just kind of mentioned, and there's a bigger price that we might get onto. But yeah, it's shaping up. It's like, what a tumultuous journey you have if you back Lake Victoria over the winter. She was all but not running, and now she does. So I'd say Fairy Godmother.
Beautifully phrased, by the way.
Wow,
very nice.
Living with you for 2 years, you'll pick up something in your vocabulary, you know.
Well done, Tom. Well done.
Yeah. He's learnt well.
We're teaching him words. Please, use your words.
Yeah, Fairy Godmother's retired, I think, in the spring, or the early part of the spring. She was going to be their number 1. Lake Victoria back in her progress. So certainly over the last month, she's probably blossomed quite a bit, good enough to run, but we were kind of just saying before coming on air, that that's got to be a negative. I know it's similar to Expanded, kind of
I was going to say, is this not kind of expanded the day after?
I think the subtle difference is because Expanded always had a target, whereas Lake Victoria was always going to be Royal Ascot. I think she was always not going to be quite ready for a Guineas, whereas that's Aidan on quoted as saying that, and then all of a sudden now in the last week, okay, she's going to run. And whereas Desert Flower, there's been no bad vibes about her all winter. She worked really well there at Newmarket the other day. It's very hard to pick holes in her. Just price-wise for me, it's never like she's shortened up. What is she now? Evens there. So those prices, it just wouldn't interest me. I do think ultimately she is probably the most likely winner. I know that's so boring to say. In terms of a value play in what I'm going to bet, similarly in terms of her progress, a horse called Chantilly Lace. She's only once raced around the Salisbury last season. She beat the Colts and Geldens that day. And I mean, they're on, I think they're a couple of them rated 77, 78. It's not great form. And she's a huge filly, and Rafe, after the race, said, you know, she's going to need time and that. So, the fact that of all the nice fillies he had, the fact that this is the one they've gone with, and in a stable tour I read yesterday that it was really positive update and in her work that she's deserved a chance. So that's good enough for me for a filly that was on my list of horses to follow. I know it didn't say it last week, but
I think that's a really good point actually you make, because he had a wealth of fillies
exactly.
back end of last year who looked really exciting. And you can see from the Pretty Polly entries, he's got 3 in there who could easily be very good.
And this is the one they're kind of going to go with. Kind of annoying my train of thought there. What was I going to say? It's a shallow race between after the 3 I mentioned, and then you kind of Chantilly Lace at 25s. I think on the day she's going to be half the price at least. So I'm getting on now with 25s. Come the morning when this is out, I'll still say that price will be about. So I think she's very much a value play.
Did I, in amidst all of that, see you subtly put in you have a 4th horse to follow?
Well, we only gave 3. I've got about
horse to follow.
80 horses in my tracker for the season. But if we were going to do another 10, she would definitely be in there. I really like this filly. I think she could be really smart. And well, the fact that she's working well enough to justify coming here straight up for the first run of the season says a lot as well.
So she's a big price, Bully. Yours is a massive price. Tell all.
Well, she is. And you said originally this isn't a race. This is a race for the purists. It's definitely not a race for the small guys, is it? Because I mean, the first 4 in the market are all massive syndicate or owners. Hey Boo though is for the small guy. Jack Shannon fields this filly. She's 66-1. She ran the Fred Darling, was beaten fair and square by Duty First, who is going to reoppose for the Archie Watson team. That was over 7 furlongs. This is over a mile. Duty First may well not stay a mile. Hey Boo is most certainly going to improve for it. Jack Shannon came out of the race and said just that. It was her first start on turf. I and you did a lot of Chelmsford shifts over the winter. I was at Chelmsford both of her victories. And the first one, Jack didn't expect her to win. He was surprised. He said that she's very, very good, but she didn't think she was ready. And then she went and followed up under a penalty, and I loved her attitude. Obviously, a much weaker race than she'll be contesting on Sunday. But she grounded out really strongly, and I loved that from her. I didn't think she'd be quite good enough to potentially make a mark at Group 1 level, but I was so impressed with her run on turf in the Fred Darling. It was her first start on grass, and she was a little bit out of pace in the final furlong, but she kept on well. And again, the trainer said that she's going to improve no end for that. So I think coming here, stepping up to a mile, if you look at the prices, there's a massive discrepancy. Duty First 16-1, Hey Boo 66s. I think over a mile there's going to be very little between them. I would expect Hey Boo to turn that form around, especially if the race is strongly run. So I think she's a good each way play in a race in which I think Desert Flower is going to win. But other than that, I think you could be looking at a nice each way price somewhere.
I don't rate the form at all, personally. But that's the beauty of this.
Exactly, yeah.
These are opinions. I think she'll reverse it with Duty First. I can absolutely see that. I'd be a little bit concerned, back to the pedigree chat, that she is related purely to sprinters, and you're going to need a lot of that Ifrage in there for her to get the mile. But she might well do. And you have a different way of looking at it.
Well, I take what you say, and obviously I do look at pedigrees, but I mean, I also listen to what trainers say, and I probably shouldn't do because half the time they're being bullish for no reason. But Shannon is convinced that she's going to be better over a mile, and that's what you said after the race last time at Fred Darling. It's what she looked like she'd improved for in the race. A little bit out of pace possibly, but she does sticker neck out. I mean, when she won both at Chelmsford over 7 furlongs, she was very strong at the finish. I'd have no worries about her over a mile. Jack said she's going to improve, I'd be fine. Completely take on board what you say about the strength of the form. I just think, in terms of price discrepancy, I think she'll overturn that with Duty First, which would make her about 5th in the market, and 66 to 1 will do for me.
Wouldn't be the first time a Shannon in a classic. Well, it wouldn't be the first time. The old man who's still part of the operation. This is what he used to do. Big priced horses making impact in classics. Hey boo.
Who do you like?
I like Desert Flower. I am interested to see how Red Letter gets on. I'd fancy her to turn the form around with Late Victoria because of the preparations. Personally, she's got it to do. There's no doubt about it. But I don't feel like the Moigler was a true reflection of what she was, and she was unlucky as well, I thought, in that run. So I'm interested to see how she gets on. But this is, I think, the first of more than a few cup finals for Desert Flower throughout the course of the season. And she's short, but I think she just wins.
Yeah, I think she
personally.
Wins. I think she probably win it quite easily, actually.
I think it's a clean sweep on the team, isn't it? Yeah. And it's just that's the way I'm looking at it. And then I think it's just looking for a little bit of value elsewhere. And if Lake Victoria isn't quite there 80-90%, then I think something at a bigger price can fill them. Because it is quite possible maybe 7 or 8 just turn up here. So it's definitely a good bet for anti-post backing something each way at those kind of prices.
Right, you've got 18 in your tracker. Some of them surely run this weekend elsewhere as well. Where else would you be looking apart from the classics to put our viewers in for?
Well, those who watched last week, Sardinian Warrior was the number 1 horse that I couldn't wait to see this season. And he runs tomorrow, or today when we're going out. He runs in the second race at Ascot in the Paradise Stakes, the listed race.
Oh, they're watching early.
Yeah, exactly. So it's on our producer to get this out in good time tomorrow. So, as I say, I think this horse is going to develop into a Group 1 horse. I was just saying to Tom last night that could come the end of the season, we could be like, oh, look, that race at Ascot, how bad that was. He should have been like odds on. He's currently 7-2. Maybe not odds on, but like a short enough price. And I actually bumped into Harry Eustace, who I used to work with at Haggis's at Sandown on Friday then. I just asked him, like, how do you think about Docklands this year? And he thinks he might just struggle. He thought it was a weak enough Milan division this year, and he tried him over 10. He didn't give him a chance to really settle, did he? So he's back over a mile. He does love the track, and he's a really solid and worthy enough horse to be up at the top of the market. I just think Sardinian Warrior has got such a higher ceiling than him, whereas Docklands a bit exposed now. We know he's kind of level, and I'd be disappointed if Sardinian Warrior isn't going to be better than him. You look at the other horses in the race, Phantom Flight, he's probably going to want a bit further, isn't he? Unquestionable. I think he's...
Who knows?
Yeah, you just wouldn't know with him. My inkling with him is he's just a little bit untrustworthy, and I'd be happy to take him on. And then after that, I'd be pretty confident he's better than the likes of Witch Hunt, etc. So I think this is a great opportunity. I think in time, my feeling was... Certainly before yesterday was the Sardinian Warrior is going to be really at his best over 10, but they didn't put him in the Prince of Wales this morning, which I thought was really interesting. They've left him in the Queen and Van, and that'll be it. So that tells me that Gosden's think this horse is very much a miler, because why wouldn't you put him in the Prince of Wales? Do you know what I mean? Mark Chan isn't short of a few bob to pay the extra grand or whatever it is. So that really bodes a lot of confidence in me. He was around 4s. I think he's a general 7-2, 3-1, and out of all the runners in the next week, Sardinian Warrior would be my nap of the week. I really like this horse, and I think tomorrow's a great opportunity. Gosden's typically do need the run sort of around April time, don't they? So that would be the only worry, but he's had a few that have come out and won first time. Field of Gold being a good example. So that would kind of be the only sort of worry. I don't have any worries about him moving over to the turf. He's got a real good ground action. Straight mile, no problem as well. Stiff mile will be tailor-made for him.
So just one and done?
No, I've got a few more, but
right.
I've waffled on enough there. Let me catch my breath.
We'll let you catch your breath. Maybe a drink of water,
Yeah.
perfect. Tom, who are you going for?
Well, I've just got to say, I think Jack's spot on with Sardinian Warrior. I think he's got a right chance in that race, expected to be a Group 1 horse this season, so very much looking forward to seeing him a little bit later this afternoon, on Wednesday.
Very good.
That's clever, that, wasn't it?
Completely confused me. Whoosh. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, well, I'll go put my other best bet out then, shall I, for the weekend. That is in the Thirsk Hunt Cup.
Love that.
And I
Love
didn't.
that.
Well, do you know what? I looked at it last night and I had a good little study. And I thought there's a horse in here who's got a right chance. And that is our Havana for the Richard Fahey team. Now, this has actually become, over the years, a pretty valuable prize. And it's a 50 grand race this year. He's 6-1 favourite, which is still a good price in my book. Look, before he contested 2 races on the turf this season, I think I and many others who were interested in this horse thought he was just a better horse than the all-weather. But last time, he went and put those doubts to bed, really, with a pretty impressive and emphatic victory at Musselburgh. That came just a couple of weeks ago. That was over 7 furlongs, but he did it really well. He was much the best that day, and he's earned a £5 rise. But nicely, or luckily, or perhaps most entrancingly,
What?
he is £4 below his all-weather mark. So he looks well handicapped on what he's done on the all-weather, and I don't think he's going to be any less of a horse on turf. Stepping up to mile, absolutely fine for him, I'm convinced. He's had 1 start over a mile. That came in the Spring Cup. Looked like he kind of didn't really enjoy the kind of hustle and bustle of the big field at Doncaster on that return back on the turf. It was a smaller field last time out at Musselburgh when he was too strong. He'll get a little bit bigger this time, but hopefully that will give him the nice confidence boost that he needed. And as I say, he's still... he's rated 92 on the turf, he's rated 96 on the all-weather. So he's got a nice little £4 to play with there. If he's as good, I think he's going to be. And he'll get a strong pace, which he also likes. So as a strong traveller, I think this kind of race, a fast run mile, will be fast run at Thirsk. He'll be able to be smuggled into the race nice. I think he's got a very good chance.
Wow, lovely stuff. Looking forward to it. Our Havana.
Yeah, there you go.
2:35 at Thirsk. Back to you.
An entrancing case by the Wolverine. Moving on to Saturday, we'll go to Newmarket, and I really like Hand of God. He's coming back after a bit of a break. He hasn't run since Rowley Ascot when he won the Golden Gate. I think time's shown us that wasn't probably the most deepest race, but he won it so emphatically that I don't think an £11 raise. I think it's so similar to King's Gambit that they're sort of on a par. The fact he can still run in a handicap, he runs in the Suffolk Stakes, doesn't he? And he's still available here at 3-1. There's quite a few going there. Still think 5-2 would still be a fair price as well. I just think this horse is your proverbial group horse in a handicap. I think there's so much more to come. Ryan Moore's an early jock up on him. You got a good write up in Harry Charlton's stable 2 out of red just this week. He's been gelded as well, so you'd like to think, well, he wasn't going to be a stallion. That should hopefully eke out a little bit more improvement. I just think he's got still a good bit up his sleeve. The only other one that in that race, I thought, who went in my tracker, Galeron, if you watch the Lincoln back, he's such an interesting horse because he was obviously a classic contender. He's got good course form. Went out to Australia, he's back with Charlie Hills. He ran such an eye-catching race there. One of the bigger prices, I think he's 16-1. I'm going to have a little saver on him as well, but I do fancy Hand of God. Yeah, I just think he's a class apart. And look, Galeron, he is into 10s now. He was 16, so at around 10-1, I'd have a small each way. But yeah, Hand of God would be a solid pick for me in this as well.
No, I like that. Hand of God. I'm going to chuck one in there as well. It comes on Friday at Goodwood. I'm lucky enough to be going there for Racing TV. And it's in the John Dunlop Condition Stakes, which is for 3-year-olds only. It's a decent pot. It's nearly 16 grand to the winner. And a horse who's been long in my tracker is Hot Shot. Finley Marsh riding once again for Richard Hughes. Broke his maiden at the Qatar Goodwood Festival in one of those valuable maidens, where he dead-heated with Spellmaster. And from there on in, he's kind of been looking for the right opportunities and has been placed fairly carefully until his 3-year-old career, where he was unlucky enough to be the outsider of a small runner conditions race at Kempton, where Opera Ballo turned up, and that was the next step for Opera Ballo. He kicked everything else into touch, and he was 4 lengths off the pace and best of the rest in second. He then went to a similar kind of race, which was the Cardinal at Chelmsford, and he ran a really respectable race all the way through. Detain won that. He's better than that. Luther has classic aspirations of his own for Charlie Fellows, and Portlight as well. He had the run of the race out in front, but was perhaps just a little bit too keen. Hot Shot, I don't think, did anything wrong in there, and I think he's well worth his place in this company, where at a place where course form just comes into its own. I mean, if you've won before at Goodwood, chances are you're going to run very well there again if the conditions and the terms are right. And I think quick ground is no problem to him, as he showed when he won there the previous August, I should say. So Hot Shot in the 2 o'clock at Goodwood on Friday for me. You've got another?
I'll just whiz through another couple. Yeah, I do. Lovely case, by the way.
Thanks, mate.
That was made there.
I think that Chelmsford race is going to work out really well.
I think they put the money on it. It hopefully would do year on year out. But Detain and Luther.
Luther was a
nice
huge eye
horses.
cash as well, but no, I think that's solid form for sure.
What about Jump on 3-year-olds this year as well? Unbelievable, isn't it?
Which
Cosmic
one?
Year, John Quill, Field of Gold and Detain. They've got so many who could be really top class. A wealth and embarrassment of riches, really. Hopefully you'll get an embarrassment of riches if you follow me, but I doubt it, to be honest. You never know. Yeah, you've got to back yourself, haven't you?
yourself.
Actually, they're all going to win. They're all going to win.
Perfect. You heard it here first.
Yeah,
it's
they're all
all,
gonna win.
recorded now. So which one's going to win?
Well, I'm going to the 255 at Newmarket on Saturday, the Palace House Stakes. It's got a lovely history, obviously, very prestigious race. And this year's contest, though, isn't particularly strong in my book. I've seen stronger Group 3s, that is for sure. No half measures for the informed Richard Hughes.
Oh, another Richard Hughes.
Perfect. It's going to be a good weekend for Richard.
But he's in good form, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
At the time of recording, 2 of his last 4 runners have won. So there you go. She improved no end, didn't she, last season? My one concern about her going to Newmarket on Saturday is that some of her best form at the end of last year, including a 5th in an Abbey, came when the ground was soft. That said, though, she's won on good ground. She's gone very, very close in a 5-furlong Royal Ascot handicap on good to firm. So I wouldn't be too concerned about the ground. Given the form that Richard Hughes is in, I'd expect her coming into this race to be fully raring to go. And Ryan Moore has been booked as well, which is a big plus. She's also entered in the Challoner Stakes, which is the first race on the card on Saturday at 1:10. But I'd be amazed if she went there because she's a 5-furlong filly. She's 1/6. So keep an eye on her for the Palace House. And the other one, a Newmarket over the weekend, is on Sunday in the Pretty Polly. And I wouldn't say this is a tip, but I think this is going to be a seriously good filly for the rest of the season to go to war with for Warren Burrows. That is Falakaya. She's once raced. She won her maiden at Wolverhampton in November. It was a terrible race. It wasn't strong at all, but I mean, she couldn't have won any easier. She won it by nearly 6 lengths on the bridle and looked all class. She's got a beautiful pedigree, and Owen Burrows is a trainer I just love in these.
You're going to see him this week?
I am going to see him this week on Thursday. I'm hoping he's going to say.
So those followers who do follow Tom on Twitter will be able to see an update later this week when he gives the go-ahead.
There you go.
No pressure.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that he's going to say she's really, really good. She'll probably win.
Yeah.
And if he does, he'll be confirming my suspicions that she's very, very classy. She's 3-1 in the 145 on Sunday at Newmarket for the Pretty Polly, and I think she's going to be a very good filly in the making. And finally, one more. Finally, that was a bit weird, wasn't it? One more I wanted to mention is in Goodwood actually, in the 355 on Saturday. And that is Castle Cove. Now this race hasn't been priced up yet, so I can't unfortunately give you a price.
Okay.
However, Castle Cove has had 3 starts for William Haggis last year, comes here as a 4-year-old, exactly the type of horse that Haggis does so well with as they improve in their 4-year-old season. Had the 3 starts, 1 in his debut, a couple of fourths were full of promise. He wasn't quite good enough to win his most recent one at Newbury. That came back in July. Had a long time off the track since, but he's got all the hallmarks of a 4-year-old who's going to improve no end this season. He's still likely to race. So keep an eye out for Castle Cove in the 355 at Goodwood. It's his only declaration, so he should go there.
And Kieran Fallon already provisionally jocked up on him, Castle Cove, mark of 85 to kick off. I've just got one more. We're heading to Churchill Downs. We're going to Louisville for the Kentucky Derby. 11:57 if you're up late, and I think East Avenue has been the forgotten horse of the race, and as can happen plenty in races like the Kentucky Derby, these early classics, the early 2-year-old promise that they showed, and if they don't back it up immediately after, people just write them off. I think East Avenue could have a really good trip in here from stall 12. Manny Franco would be able to use the early pace that saw him bolt up at Ellis Park on debut, and then at Keeneland, where he won a Grade 1, which sent him off as favourite for the juvenile, and then everything just went wrong. He stumbled out of the stalls. It was race over. Not quite sure what happened at Fairgrounds on his reappearance after that, his first run as a 3-year-old, but he was back to form when he was a nose behind Burnham Square in one of the key trials at Keeneland just 25 days ago in the Bluegrass. So I think 33-1 is an insane overreaction to a horse that should only get better being a son of Medaglia d'Oro as a 3-year-old. Goes to Upper Mare, proper dirt pedigree, as you would obviously need for one of the most prestigious dirt races in the world. I think 33 to 1 is a big price for a horse who is already a Grade 1 winner and has shown himself to be nearly a Grade 1 winner at 3 when a nose last time. I think he gets a good trip. You got one more?
One more, yes. Just a good case that for 33. I might
Thanks, mate. You got a backup?
Yeah, no. I will, yeah.
It was a good case, and actually, you should deserve credit too, because Rachel Candelaura, for racing TV viewers will know her well, you said the Kentucky Derby, she would love that.
I thought you were going to say she was going to...
Oh, no, the Kentucky Derby. She love the pronunciation. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good to know.
Maybe we'll get her on at the end of the year.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Good for a Breeders' Cup show.
She would.
Maybe for the Epsom Derby. Who knows?
Probably not now.
Not now, no.
You got
sorry,
one more.
Last one is Liam Swagger. Now, there'll be a few viewers that have still got their jumping caps on, especially with Punchestown this week. But Liam Swagger, he's such a well-handicapped horse, I think, on the flat. And if we can see him here at Chelmsford last time out, he was 3-4 wide the whole time. And he was like weak on the day and just said to me that this wasn't going to be the day. I think this race on Sunday, he runs in the mile 6 Heritage Handicap. It's a great pot. Chelmsford was never going to suit anyway. You guys know better than anyone really about how it works on those all-weather races, the crawl round and stuff. It's always on the turn as well. Back on a galloping track, good ground. They went at ferocious galloping this last year. We had Eagle in it. And I just think anything close to that would just be tailor-made for this horse. I thought James Owen's horses ran a little bit poorly in patches, like at the Craven meeting, for example. There was a few disappointments. They're generally in decent enough form at the moment. So I think Liam Swagger, it's such a well-handicapped horse. I really like him. There's 5 to 1 about him at the moment, but generally he's 7 to 2, so I'm not going to put him up at 5s. I think he's a really strong win chance for me.
So just reaffirm your tips one by one, just so we can remember.
So in the 2 in the Guineas, I like Expanded and Ruin Court. That's 2,000. And then in the 1,000, I don't really have a strong enough opinion. Like you guys, I do think just Desert Flower wins. If people are looking for a bit of value, if that's not sort of your thing, back in evens, odds on shots, I do think Chantilly Lace could definitely have a chance. Certainly Andy Post. I see her halving in price closer to 10 to 1 on the day. So I think there's a bit of value there. Sardinian Warrior today at Ascot. I think he's a real nice horse. Liam Swagger, and there is one more, I think, off the top of my head. Yeah, Hand of God, of course, as well. Another win only. Yeah.
Perfect.
All good?
Yeah. Well, they're all going to win. What about yours? Remind me.
Talking of winners, got loads here. 2,000 guineas, I'm going with Swarthy Champ. I think he's got a massive chance. Sunday, I'm in the 1,000 going to go with Hey Boo Each Way for Jack Shannon. I think Desert Flower will win that race. And then the others, no half measures on Saturday in the 255 Palace House. Falakai and the Pretty Polly. Castle Cove at Goodwood in the 355 Class 2 Handicap on Saturday. And then again on Saturday, it's our Havana, who hopefully will provide me with some nice Cuban cigars after he does the business in the Thirsk and Ascot.
Lovely, to celebrate a job well done.
Exactly.
I've noticed now that mine has a theme of Godolphin pretty much all the way. I'm ruling court in the 2,000 guineas, Desert Flower in the 1,000, East Avenue Each Way in the Kentucky Derby, and then we break it slightly with Hot Shot in the John Dunlop Memorial Conditions Race at Goodwood at 2 p.m. on Friday. So that is our Guinea special for our latest episode of Flat Out. Thank you very much for watching. Comment below who exactly you fancy for the weekend and for the classics, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye bye.